Now, I know I didn't make a game recap for the last game, and it was an eventful game, don't get me wrong. I had a lot of things going on, and unfortunately sometimes I just can't put out the content that I want to put out when I want to because of just being busy and whatnot. And also, I watch a lot of games on the go. I'm kind of a busy guy sometimes, in and out of the house a lot, and I just don't have time to sometimes sit and watch the games on my computer or at home, so I watch a lot of them on my phone, and I just don't have the ability to make videos sometimes on my phone if I don't have footage saved and whatnot. But I still want to kind of talk about that game before we get into this one, because I really like the way that this team kind of carried over the play from that game, because in that game against the Canucks where the Jets just really turned it on and really, blew them up in the third period and really just outplayed them, and obviously Andrew Kopp winning someone 100K is pretty crazy too, but nonetheless, I was just really impressed with the way all four lines were rolling. Every line was playing the way that they were supposed to play, almost to a T. They were really playing good team hockey, and I really liked the way that the offense was designed and structured, and I've really liked, like I've always said in the last few game recaps that I've been doing, I've been very impressed by the fourth line recently, and I like that they're being used more and more, I feel like, the last few games. And even in today's game, for example, they only played 7 minutes, but in my opinion, in that limited time, they were really, really, really good. And I just want to see them get a little bit more balanced ice time, because I think rolling even those four lines, which I'm still not a big fan of Nate Thompson being on that fourth line, I think they're playing well, and I would like to see more of it to see what happens, because honestly, that's been a really good point. I just wanted to say that I really liked the way that these teams played the last few games with all four lines, and I thought that really carried over into tonight's game against the Calgary Flames, the first game of the 3-game series coming up over this weekend going into Monday. And I really liked the way they came up and kind of set the tempo, because this game was all over the place. There were so many times where the game just kind of, the momentum just changed on a dime, just by one power play being called or an event happening that kept the team shorthanded, or just really weird certain circumstances. And it was a very strange game with a lot of ups and downs, but a very entertaining game, because the Jets had 6 power play opportunities tonight, capitalized on 2 of those, and the Flames had 4 opportunities, capitalizing on 1 of them. And there were just a lot of penalties and a lot of plays that were like, whoa, like, and stuff like that. Just a crazy game. And a lot of also the goals scored were pretty interesting too. Like, it was a wacky game just to start in the first period with the way that first goal goes in on the power play. Shot from Connor from the top of the right side of the circle, and he shoots it in. Stastny tips it in front of the net, and then it just bounces off Blake Wheeler's skate and goes into the net. Really wonky goal to start that game, and it kind of set the tone for the way that the game went in general. Because even the second goal that Kyle Connor scored in the second period, it was a beautiful goal nonetheless. But at first, when I saw it, I was laughing my ass off, because I thought that the Calgary player had knocked it into his own net. And I was just, because it looked exactly like that. Not until the replay was shown, and I think it was the third replay, that I finally saw the angle, but I was able to control that rebound after the first save and put it in. And I was like, well, that's a crazy goal too, because that really looked like Calgary put it in. I just thought that was an interesting, funny goal. And it was just weird to see these 2 first goals be kind of so wonky, because the game itself was so up and down with momentum, because Calgary would come on and turn on some good pressure and play pretty decent at times in the Jets zone, and then the Jets would just dominate and carry the puck well and play a really good offensive minutes tonight and just have a lot of pressure on net. They had 29 shots on goal, but Calgary really did turn on at the end of the game to make it 27, so it wasn't as lopsided as it might have looked at times. But even then, the Jets, in my opinion, just played a really good game. They had 22 blocked shots, and you could really see it tonight with the way how they were playing and just blocking the defense especially. It was just a really slow, gritty type of game, and they did a really good job of forcing everything out into the corners. And they've done this a few times recently, and I really like this type of play, and I hope that they can keep it up, because if the defense can just utilize their size, which almost every defender in the Jets has as being a pretty decently big guy, they can box people out pretty well to the corners. And I think that the Jets thrive there, especially with the way that top line plays with Stastny, Wheeler, and even Mark Scheifele at times, with the way he's able to pick your pocket in the boards. I think that really, that element of that first line and that kind of gritty, slowed down style of defense and defensive type zone hockey can be really beneficial for the Jets, and I've liked what I've seen so far from them in the last few times they've used it and played against teams, and it's been interesting to see. And I also think that leads me into talking about more competition and whatnot about Logan Stanley recently, because Logan Stanley has been facing a lot more top competition, and in my opinion, he's just been really showing how diverse he is as a player and how well he's developing into a consistent NHL guy. And I think there's a lot of potential in his game. He played almost 12 minutes tonight, and he just had another good night, having 3 shots on goal, tied for defenseman. The other only guy to get 3 on shots on net was Neal Pionk. And Neal Pionk had a really good game too. He was really physical tonight, but I like the way a lot of the defense played. But I'm happy with the way Logan Stanley is steadily improving. It's sooner or later he's going to start to score a lot more goals if he can just get the shot a little bit more accurately on net in that area of where it's more deadly to get a tip, because a lot of the time he's missing just, either a little bit to the top or a little bit too wide. And I think that if once he controls that shot a little bit better, he's going to be a really good deadly player for us. He might even become a good guy to have on a power play because of how good his shot can be if he's able to hone it in and be able to get it through, kind of like what Pionk's so good at doing, because Pionk can really get the shot through no matter how many bodies are there. He's very good at that. So if Logan Stanley can just become that type of guy to get more shots on net and be a little bit more accurate with the aim, I think he's going to become a really good asset for us. And it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Cheveldayoff handles the defense moving forward with the expansion draft coming up with Seattle, because there's a lot of potential there. I'm going to be making a video sharing my thoughts on it, but I think that there's going to be, it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of people thinking DeMello we should expose, a lot of people thinking you should keep Stanley, some people on the Josh Morrissey exposing him because, of his contract, his poor play. I'm going to do a video talking about all that and sharing my thoughts soon, so turn on notifications if you haven't already, if you're a fan of the Winnipeg Jets or a fan of hockey regardless of the team you root for, and you're just interested in hearing a little bit about the potential expansion draft, what it could look like moving forward this offseason. But nonetheless, another guy I want to talk about in the Jets who I thought had a really good game was Connor Hellebuyck, obviously almost getting a shutout. He played very, very well, and I was just happy to see him, play that really good game like that again. It's just good to see him getting more wins and being more consistent, because he had that, little bit of slump where the Jets weren't playing that well, where they had those back-to-back losses, and his stats just weren't looking that great in that 3-game stretch, I believe it was. And, he was being harked on a little bit on national TV with the way the commentators were talking about his poor play recently. So it was just nice to see Connor Hellebuyck come out and get 3 wins basically in a row for the team and just be really dynamite the last few games. And it's really, it's just been nice to see. Like I said, Connor Hellebuyck, when he thrives, he is the heart and soul of this team. It showed late in this game. He had to carry us to the win because they just had to choke in the last 3 minutes, it felt like. And without Connor Hellebuyck, what would this identity of this team be, right? Like, we owe Connor Hellebuyck so much as Jets fans. He's the best, he's the heart and soul, he's the rock, he carries this team, and he had another great game tonight in my opinion. Getting more into the negative side of things, even though I wouldn't say it's negative, just stuff that I want to see improvement in, is definitely the play of obviously Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm still not that, impressed with him lately. Obviously, I'm not giving him a hard time because it's a lot he went through, the 2-week quarantine, having to come back, and then barely being, conditioned, getting injured on top of that, and having to get healthy, and then, conditioned back to being NHL ready with barely playing. It's a lot on a guy, so I'm not really judging him this much in the season because I feel like he's going to really show what he is in the playoffs with this team. I feel like that'll be his time to shine, and I'm looking forward to seeing that. So I just want to see more of a steady progressing of his play, I guess I would say. And tonight he was just really looking slow through the neutral zone, and he was getting, kind of chewed up a lot trying to get the puck through. He just couldn't really, corral the puck and make a move through anybody, and he was getting really kind of, bottled up and just stopping the flow of everything. And I just want to see him make a little bit more of those extra passes. He did make some really good plays today, but I just want to see him be a little bit more dynamic, I feel like, because he's kind of been one-dimensional the last couple of games. I feel like he's been good in those games, but he can be so much better, and I just want to see him improve more going into these next few games against the Calgary Flames over the weekend. So I hope to see more from Pierre-Luc Dubois as these games continue going into tomorrow and Monday, or obviously today is the day you're watching it. But nonetheless, other than that, I was, like I said, pretty impressed by the way the Jets played today. I really liked, though, obviously, Blake Wheeler and Stastny had a really, really good game, and Kyle Connor as well. Scheifele, in my opinion, he could be a little bit more defensively minded, and put a little bit more effort in, but he still played a pretty good game. And I really liked the third line again as well. Appleton, Lowry, and Copp were playing really, really well, carrying that energy they brought in from that game. Obviously, where Copp getting those 4 goals was pretty huge, and I just really like the way that fourth line is playing. Mason Appleton is really developing into a stud for us, and it's really going to be interesting to see if he has top 6 potential. I think he does, but it's going to be curious to see how the coaching staff handles him and the progression of other prospects coming through that bottom 6 within the next few seasons. Also, with the defense as well. It's going to be interesting to see how all these young faces mesh with the current core as we push to be that dominant cup contender for the next couple of seasons with all of our guys on contracts still make our good run in our window. So other than that, I really like this game. Interesting to see these next 2 games and how they play out. The Flames are going to be hungry tomorrow. They're going to be physical. They're going to come back and try to beat the Jets. So it's going to have to be ready on their toes. They're going to have to be ready for it. It's going to be a physical, hard game, and I wasn't impressed that much after the last back-to-back. So I'm hoping to see a better performance this time. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. But as always, peace, love, and positivity, as well as all the other jazz. I like to say thank you so much for the support and whatnot. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.